Chosen one, you are becoming someone money will not leave. I repeat, you are becoming someone money will not leave. Chosen one, you are not here by accident. This moment is not random. Heaven has aligned your steps to this exact message because your spirit is standing at the edge of a divine turning point. There are two kinds of wealth in this world: wealth that comes too early and slips through unprepared hands, and wealth that arrives slowly, intentionally, and stays for generations. And deep down, anointed one, you have always known you were never meant for the first kind. You never believed you were poor because you were lazy. You sensed something deeper, that you were still being prepared. That if money had arrived before now, it would have tested you before it could bless you. Scripture reminds us in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 that there is a time for everything under heaven. This is not delay. This is design. Chosen one. The reason your wealth has taken its time is because your capacity has been forming. Your discipline, your discernment, your character, all growing quietly. You are not late. You are becoming. And the wealth that is coming will surprise you, not because it is sudden, but because you are finally ready to hold it without losing yourself. This is not a video teaching you how to get rich. This is a message arriving at the exact moment you are ready to receive what you've been prepared for. If your spirit feels this, subscribe now, so we stay connected in this divine timing. And comment 777 as a sign of agreement, not to impress anyone, but to commit to listening fully and letting the word settle deep within you. Stay with me, chosen one. What is unfolding is sacred. Chosen one, hear this slowly and let it settle deep in your spirit. The reason heaven has not rushed your wealth is not because you were forgotten, overlooked, or delayed by mistake. It is because God does not release weight to a vessel that has not yet learned how to carry it without cracking. There are people who receive money before they receive wisdom, and that kind of wealth becomes a test they were never trained to pass. But you were never meant to be a temporary carrier. You were meant to become a keeper. I learned this the hard way in my own life. There was a season when I prayed for increase without understanding capacity. I asked for doors to open before I knew how to stand when they did. And every time something came early, it left just as fast. At the time, I thought it was loss. Now I know it was mercy. God was protecting me from receiving something my inner structure could not yet sustain. Chosen one. If you can relate to that feeling, it is because the same hand has been shaping you quietly. You see, anointed one, true wealth is not something you chase. It is something that responds to who you are becoming. Heaven does not reward desperation. It responds to alignment. When your inner world begins to match the responsibility of the blessing, provision starts looking for you. That is why the greatest shift in your life right now is not external, it is internal. Your patience, your discernment, your ability to wait without quitting, these are not delays. They are evidence that your spirit is being trained for permanence. There is a lie many people believe, and it sounds spiritual on the surface. They say, if it's meant for me, it will come no matter what. But that is not how divine order works. Scripture shows us again and again that preparation precedes promotion. Joseph did not step into the palace before the pit trained his character. David did not sit on the throne before the field taught him faithfulness. And you, chosen one, have not been ignored. You have been positioned. Let me speak plainly to your spirit now. The problem was never lack of money. The problem was lack of the idea, the vision, the inner architecture to multiply and retain what would come. Money without ideas disappears. Favor without structure collapses. But when an idea takes root, when it is watered through repetition, reflection, and obedience, it begins to show up everywhere. It changes how you think, how you speak, how you dress, how you move through the world. It reshapes your confidence. It rewrites your identity. I remember the moment this shifted for me. I stopped asking, why isn't it working, and started asking, what am I missing? That question alone changed my life. Because when you become a seeker, heaven becomes a responder. When you study success instead of envying it, wisdom begins to recognize you. When you study wealth instead of wishing for it, understanding starts following you home. Chosen one. This is not about luck. This is about alignment through learning. There are people who wake up every day hoping something will change. And then there are people who wake up determined to understand how change actually works. The second group always surprises the first, and you, anointed one, are being shifted into that second category. Curiosity is being awakened in you. A holy dissatisfaction with surface-level living is growing. You are no longer content with surviving. You want to understand, and understanding is dangerous in the best possible way. Heaven responds powerfully to repetition. When you write things down, revisit them, meditate on them, you are doing more than learning, you are imprinting. Ideas repeated long enough become instincts. Instincts practiced long enough become identity. And identity eventually commands resources. That is why one idea revisited over time can quietly begin changing your bank account, your environment, and your future without announcing itself. Chosen one, do not despise the season where you are reading, listening, observing, and absorbing. This is not passive. This is construction. While others are rushing to display outcomes, you are building foundations. While others are copying results, you are studying principles, and principles outlive trends every single time. That is why the wealth coming to you will not look fragile. It will look settled. I want you to hear this clearly. Proximity matters. Who you listen to matters. What you expose your mind to matters. There were seasons when I learned more by sitting quietly with people who had already walked the road than I ever did by trying to impress them. Listening saved me years of unnecessary pain. Observation protected me from mistakes I did not yet know how to articulate. Chosen one wisdom is often transferred in silence, not speeches. Success leaves clues, and so does failure. When you watch carefully, you begin to see patterns others miss. You notice how disciplined people speak, how calm they remain under pressure, how they treat time, money, and people. These details may seem small, but small disciplines are the doorway to large capacities. God always tests with little before he trusts with much. That is not punishment, that is preparation. There are two ways to see life. One with your eyes and one with your mind. Sight shows you what is happening. Insight shows you why it is happening. And right now, heaven is sharpening your insight. You are beginning to see answers where others only see circumstances. You are beginning to recognize patterns instead of reacting emotionally. That is not coincidence. That is maturation. Chosen one discipline is not about restriction. It is about freedom. The ability to make yourself do what needs to be done, even when no one is watching, is a spiritual muscle. And that muscle is being strengthened in you right now. Every small act of obedience you complete is training you for a future that will demand consistency. The wealth that stays requires a person who can stand steady when pressure increases. I will end this segment with this truth and let it echo in your spirit. God is not slow, he is precise. What is coming to you has weight, and weight requires strength. You are not behind, you are becoming. And the very process you once questioned will soon be the reason your blessing does not collapse when it arrives. Chosen one. There is something heaven wants you to understand about timing, because many people misinterpret slowness as denial. They assume that if something takes longer, it must be weaker, smaller, or less significant. But in the realm of the spirit, the opposite is often true. The things that arrive quickly can leave quickly. The things that are built slowly are usually built to last. And the reason your wealth has not rushed you is because it is not meant to visit you. It is meant to live with you. There was a season when I compared my pace to others. I watched people rise fast, gain attention, fast, gain money fast. And for a moment it made me question God. I wondered why my road felt quieter, longer, heavier. But over time I began to notice something. Many of those same people were constantly restarting. What they gained quickly, they struggled to keep. What they received easily, they did not know how to steward. That was when I realized God was not withholding from me. He was teaching me how to hold. Chosen one. Heaven does not confuse speed with favor. It values stability. It values maturity. It values a heart that will not crumble when pressure increases. Scripture reminds us that riches gained hastily will diminish, but wealth gathered little by little will increase. That is not just financial wisdom, that is spiritual law. And your life has been quietly obeying that law even when you did not understand it. You have always sensed that you carry more than surface-level ability. There has been a knowing inside you that you were capable of more, but it felt locked behind something you could not yet name. That frustration you felt was not failure. It was unused capacity asking to be activated. And capacity is not activated by wishing. It is activated by exposure, discipline, and repetition. This is why your path has been filled with learning moments. Reading when others were resting, listening when others were talking, observing when others were rushing. At times it felt lonely, at times it felt unfair, but every one of those moments was adding layers to your internal structure. God was expanding your mind so that your future would not overwhelm you. Chosen one ideas are spiritual seeds. Money follows ideas, not effort alone. You can work hard your entire life and still remain limited if your thinking never expands. But when an idea takes hold, it begins to reorganize everything. It changes how you approach problems. It changes what you notice. It changes what you say no to. That is why the real breakthrough in your life did not start with a paycheck. It started with perspective. I remember the first time an idea truly changed me. Nothing outside changed immediately. My bank account looked the same. My environment looked the same. But inside something shifted. I began to see possibilities where I once saw walls. I began to recognize opportunities I would have missed before. And slowly, almost quietly, my external life began to follow what had already shifted internally. That is how real transformation works. Inside first, outside later. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of study. Study is not academic. Study is devotional. When you study success, you are honoring wisdom. When you study wealth, you are respecting order. When you study growth, you are aligning yourself with increase. This is not about information overload. It is about intentional focus. 30 minutes a day consistently applied can change the trajectory of a lifetime. Not because time itself is magical, but because consistency invites revelation. You have noticed that some people seem to know things you were never taught. They speak with clarity. They move with confidence. They make decisions without panic. That is not arrogance, that is exposure. Someone before them paid the price to learn, and now they are living from that investment. And chosen one, you are doing the same thing now. Even if no one applauds it yet, heaven is recording it. Listening is another form of humility that attracts favor. When you place yourself near people who are ahead of you, not to impress them, but to learn from them, you accelerate without striving. There were moments in my life when a single conversation saved me years of mistakes. not because the person gave me money, but because they gave me clarity. Clarity is more valuable than currency because it multiplies whatever touches it. You have also been learning from what did not work. Watching patterns of lack, instability, and reaction has sharpened your discernment. You are beginning to recognize habits that lead nowhere. You are becoming more selective with what you consume mentally and spiritually. That is not judgment, that is wisdom forming. And wisdom always precedes increase. Observation is a spiritual discipline. When you watch how successful people move through the world, you are not copying them. You are decoding principles. You notice how they manage emotions, how they handle pressure, how they respond instead of react. These patterns are transferable. Success leaves clues because it is not random. And the more you observe, the more those clues begin rearranging your own behavior naturally. There is something subtle but powerful happening in you right now. Your awareness is sharpening. You are paying attention in ways you did not before. You are present, and presence is rare. Most people live distracted lives. They miss answers because they are not fully where they are. But you are learning to be where you are. And in that stillness, insight speaks. Chosen one discipline is not punishment, it is preparation. The small disciplines you are practicing are not insignificant. They are building spiritual muscle. The ability to follow through even when motivation fades is what separates temporary success from lasting abundance. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with more because you have learned to be faithful with little. Self-motivation is not hype, it is ownership. When you stop waiting for someone to push you and begin responding to your own convictions, you step into authority. Authority is attractive. Authority draws resources. Authority signals readiness. Heaven is not looking for excitement. It is looking for consistency, and you are developing that now. There was a time when I wished someone would come and unlock everything for me, but I learned that no one can carry your assignment for you. You must act on what you understand. Knowledge without action becomes frustration, but action, even imperfect action, creates momentum, and momentum invites provision. Chosen one wealth is more than money. Money is only one expression of abundance. I have met people with resources and no peace. I have met people with influence and no joy. That is not the kind of wealth heaven is preparing you for. The wealth coming to you will be integrated. It will not compete with your values. It will not destroy your identity. It will support your calling. You are being trained not to cut corners, not to chase shortcuts, not to compromise integrity for speed. A cheap approach leads to a cheap life, but a patient approach produces something solid. Even when it takes longer, it holds under pressure. That is why God has been guiding you to do things the right way, even when the faster way was available. Hear this and let it anchor you. You are not slow, you are thorough. You are not delayed, you are aligned, and the wealth that is approaching your life is responding to who you have become, not who you pretend to be. That is why it will stay. Chosen one. There is a moment that arrives quietly in a person's life when effort begins to give way to alignment. It does not announce itself with noise. It does not come with applause. It feels more like a deep internal settling, as if something finally clicks into place. That is the moment you are approaching now, and many people miss it because they are still looking for signs outside themselves, not realizing the most important shift always happens within. I want to speak to the fear you have not always admitted out loud. The fear that if wealth had arrived earlier, it might have ruined something sacred inside you. The fear that money could have amplified wounds you had not yet healed. That fear was not weakness, it was discernment, and heaven honored it, because God does not bless in ways that destroy what He has already built. There was a season in my life when I watched opportunities pass by that I thought were meant for me. At the time, I felt overlooked. But later, when I understood the weight those opportunities carried, I realized I would not have survived them intact. My ego was too loud. My boundaries were too weak. My discernment was still forming. If God had answered me quickly, he would have answered me cruelly. So he waited. And in that waiting, he worked. Chosen one. This is what people misunderstand about divine timing. God's silence is rarely absence. It is often concentration. He pulls back not to withhold, but to strengthen the vessel. Because the higher the elevation, the stronger the winds. And if your roots are shallow, the blessing itself can uproot you. You have been learning how to stay steady under pressure. Life has tested your patience, your consistency, your ability to remain grounded when outcomes were unclear. These were not random challenges, they were rehearsals. Every delay taught you how to manage disappointment without bitterness. Every closed door taught you how to trust without control. These lessons cannot be rushed, and they cannot be skipped. There is something else heaven has been doing in you, refining your motives. It is easy to want money for comfort, validation, or escape, but wealth that comes to heal insecurity never heals it. It only exposes it. That is why God often waits until the need for money shifts from desperation to stewardship. When your desire becomes service rather than survival, provision accelerates naturally. Chosen one, listen carefully. The wealth coming to you is not meant to impress people. It is meant to empower purpose. It will not need to announce itself. It will quietly change your options, your reach, your ability to respond to needs around you. That kind of wealth requires humility because it carries responsibility, and responsibility requires maturity. You have been developing that maturity in ordinary moments. In how you handle small obligations, in how you treat people who cannot advance you, in how you respond when no one is watching. These moments matter more than grand gestures. God watches patterns, not performances, and your patterns have been speaking on your behalf. I remember the first time I realized my internal world had shifted enough to support increase. I was no longer reacting emotionally to every setback. I was no longer chasing validation. I was no longer panicking when things slowed down. That calm did not come from confidence in circumstances. It came from trust in process, and that trust became the foundation for everything that followed. Chosen one, the world glorifies hustle, but heaven honors obedience. Hustle relies on pressure. Obedience relies on alignment. Hustle burns out. Obedience sustains. And you are being transitioned from one to the other. You are learning when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to observe, when to act and when to let clarity settle. This is why shortcuts no longer appeal to you the way they once did. You have seen enough to know that fast gains often come with hidden costs. You have learned that integrity compounds even when it feels slow. You are becoming someone who values peace as much as progress, clarity as much as currency. That balance is rare and it is valuable. Chosen one, you are also learning how not to beat the system, but to understand it. There is a difference between wisdom and manipulation. Wisdom works within order. Manipulation tries to exploit it. The first builds longevity. The second builds collapse. God has been steering you away from cutting corners even when it seemed harmless. That restraint will protect your future more than you know. Every time you chose the longer path, you were strengthening something inside you. You were learning how to delay gratification without losing hope. You were training yourself to build instead of borrow. These choices form character, and character is what attracts trust. Trust opens doors that talent alone never could. There is a quiet authority developing in you. People may not be able to name it, but they feel it. You speak differently now. You listen more deeply. You carry yourself with a grounded presence that does not need to dominate a room to be noticed. That authority is not learned in classrooms. It is forged through endurance. Chosen one, endurance is not passive. It is active faith over time. It is choosing to stay aligned when quitting would be easier. It is continuing to refine your thinking when distraction would be more comfortable. This endurance has been shaping you into someone who can sustain success, not just reach it. You have also been learning how to separate your identity from outcomes. This is critical. When your sense of worth is no longer tied to immediate results, you become unshakable. Money can come and go, but your center remains intact. That stability is what allows wealth to remain without controlling you. I want you to understand something deeply spiritual. God does not test you with abundance before He trusts you with it. He tests you with delay. He watches how you behave when things are slow, uncertain, and unseen. Delay reveals who you really are, and you pass tests you did not even know were being administered. You did not abandon your values when progress stalled. You did not compromise your integrity when opportunities tempted you. You did not harden your heart when answers took time. These choices were noticed, they were recorded, and they are now becoming the foundation for what is next. Chosen one. The wealth that surprises you will not arrive as chaos. It will arrive as confirmation. It will feel natural, not overwhelming. It will fit the person you have become. And when it comes, you will realize it did not start then. It started long ago in the quiet decisions you made when no one else was paying attention. Hold this truth close. God is not preparing money for you. He has been preparing you for money. And preparation always comes before release. Chosen one. There comes a stage in preparation where heaven begins to shift your environment, not dramatically at first, but subtly. Conversations change. Opportunities begin to feel different. Things that once excited you no longer hold the same pull. This is not boredom. This is discernment awakening. God often changes your appetite before He changes your circumstances, because what you crave determines what you attract. You may have noticed that you are less impressed by noise now. You are less moved by hype promises or quick wins. You listen more carefully. You pause longer before making decisions. That is not hesitation. That is wisdom taking root. The spirit matures quietly, and when it does, it stops rushing toward things that once felt urgent. I remember a season when I realized my tolerance for chaos had dropped. Situations that I once would have fought to make work no longer felt worth the cost. At first, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was losing ambition. But I later understood I was gaining clarity. God was teaching me the difference between opportunity and assignment. Opportunity can excite you. Assignment aligns you. Chosen one. Wealth tied to assignment behaves differently than wealth tied to ego. Ego-driven wealth demands attention, comparison, and constant proving. Assignment-driven wealth moves with purpose, restraint, and peace. Heaven is not interested in elevating your image, it is interested in expanding your impact. And impact requires discernment. This is why God has been teaching you to listen inwardly. Not every open door is meant to be walked through. Not every invitation is divine. Some opportunities look like acceleration, but carry the seeds of exhaustion. Others look small, but contain longevity. Learning the difference takes time, and you have been given that time for a reason. You are also learning to respect process instead of resisting it. There was a time when waiting felt like punishment. Now it feels like alignment. You are beginning to trust that what unfolds at the right time unfolds with less resistance. The struggle you once thought was necessary no longer feels required. That shift alone is a sign of maturity. Chosen one, let me say this clearly. God is not testing your faith by withholding. He is strengthening your discernment by pacing. There is a difference. Withholding creates desperation. Pacing creates confidence. And confidence is essential for stewardship. When you no longer fear losing what you have not yet received, you are ready to receive it. I have seen people gain resources before gaining boundaries. The result is always the same. They become drained, confused, and controlled by what they once prayed for. That is why boundaries are a form of blessing. And God has been teaching you to say no without guilt, to pause without apology, to protect your energy without explanation. These are not selfish behaviors. They are stewardship behaviors. Chosen one, you are learning how to manage pressure before pressure multiplies. Right now, your life may feel quieter than you expected it to be at this stage, but quiet is where strength is built. Loud seasons test reaction. Quiet seasons develop regulation. And regulation is what allows you to remain steady when responsibility increases. There is also a deep internal shift happening in how you define success. You no longer measure it only by outcomes. You measure it by alignment, peace, and sustainability. That shift alone disqualifies you from many traps that ensnare others. You are not impressed by temporary wins that cost long-term stability. You are becoming someone who thinks generationally, even if you have never used that word. I want to speak to something personal again. There was a time when I thought speed was proof of blessing. I thought if God was involved, everything would move fast. But the older I became in wisdom, the more I realized God is more concerned with depth than pace. Fast growth without roots creates collapse. Slow growth with roots creates resilience, and resilience is priceless. Chosen one, resilience is being built into you now, not through dramatic trials, but through consistent obedience, through small, repeated choices to do what is right, even when it is inconvenient, through the decision to stay grounded when emotion wants to lead. These moments do not feel heroic, but they are holy. You may not realize it yet, but your presence is becoming stabilizing to others. People feel calmer around you. They sense that you are not easily shaken. That is not personality. That is spiritual maturity manifesting. And maturity attracts trust. Trust attracts responsibility. Responsibility attracts resources. This is how heaven orders increase. God is also refining how you see money itself. You are beginning to understand that money is a tool, not an identity. It amplifies what is already present. If peace is present, it multiplies peace. If chaos is present, it multiplies chaos. This understanding is critical, because once money arrives, it does not create character. It reveals it. Chosen one, you have been allowing God to deal with your inner world before touching your outer one. You have been facing patterns, beliefs, and reactions that others avoid. That inner work is invisible, but it is the reason your future will be stable. Many people skip this stage and spend years repairing damage that could have been prevented. You are also learning how to remain humble without shrinking. This balance is rare. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking clearly about your role. You know you have capacity, but you also know it is sourced. That awareness keeps pride from contaminating purpose, and pride is the fastest way to fracture a blessing. Chosen one. Heaven is not just preparing to give you more, it is preparing to trust you with more. Trust is earned through consistency, not confession. God watches how you treat what you already have: time, attention, relationships, small responsibilities. You have been faithful in ways that may not have been recognized publicly, but they were noticed spiritually. There is also a recalibration happening in how you handle disappointment. You no longer spiral the way you once did. You process, you reflect, you adjust. This is not emotional detachment, it is emotional maturity. When you can experience disappointment without losing direction, you are ready for leadership in any form. Chosen one leadership does not always look like being followed. Sometimes it looks like being steady, being clear, being consistent. The wealth that is coming to you will not be chaotic because you are not chaotic anymore. It will not demand your soul because your soul has been strengthened. It will not overwhelm your life because your life has been ordered. I want you to hear this next part carefully. God does not elevate people to prove his power. He elevates them to extend his order. Order brings peace. Peace brings clarity. Clarity brings fruit. And fruit lasts. This is the kind of increase you are being prepared for. Your journey has taught you patience without passivity, faith without fantasy, expectation without entitlement. These are signs of readiness, and readiness is always followed by release. So if things feel calm right now, do not misinterpret it. Calm is not stagnation. Calm is confirmation that your foundation is strong enough to support what is coming. God often quiets the environment before expansion, so you can hear him clearly. Chosen one. The wealth that will surprise you will not feel foreign. It will feel familiar, like something you have been preparing for all along, because you have. And when it arrives, it will not ask you to become someone new. It will simply meet the person you have already become. Chosen one. There is a threshold every prepared soul eventually reaches where effort gives way to stewardship. It is the moment when heaven stops asking, "Can you handle more?" and begins asking, "Can I trust you with weight?" This threshold is not crossed by ambition. It is crossed by alignment. And alignment is what your life has been quietly moving toward. You may have noticed that your desires have become cleaner. You still want increase, but not at the cost of your peace. You still want expansion, but not at the expense of your integrity. This is not compromise, this is refinement. God removes what would distort your vision before he enlarges your field of view. That way, when increase arrives, it does not pull you off center. I want to speak to something deeply personal now. There was a time when I believed that success meant proving something to people who doubted me, to systems that overlooked me, even to myself. But as wisdom grew, that hunger faded. Not because the calling shrank, but because the motive purified. When the need to prove dissolves, the ability to build multiplies, and that is where real wealth begins. Chosen one. The wealth coming to you will not be fueled by urgency, it will be sustained by clarity. Urgency drains, clarity directs. And clarity has been forming in you through seasons where you had to slow down and listen. Listen to what felt right. Listen to what felt off. Listen to the quiet warnings that saved you from costly detours. You have been learning discernment the hard way, through contrast. Through watching what happens when people receive more than they can manage. Through seeing relationships fracture under pressure. Through witnessing how money magnifies unresolved issues. These observations were not accidental. They were protective. God was teaching you what not to become just as much as who you are becoming. Chosen one. There is a reason you no longer envy fast success. You have seen enough to know that speed without structure is unstable. You have seen people celebrated one moment and scrambling the next, and instead of resenting your pace, you began to respect it. That shift is powerful. Gratitude for timing unlocks grace for increase. You are also developing something many people never do: patience without resentment, waiting without bitterness. This is rare. Most people wait with anger, suspicion, or comparison. But you waited with curiosity. You asked questions. You sought understanding. You refined your thinking. That posture transforms waiting into preparation. God does not waste seasons. If you were in a holding pattern, it was because something was being strengthened. If doors were closed, it was because something else needed to open inside you first. You are now standing in a place where those internal doors have opened. And once the inner world aligns, the outer world responds quickly. Chosen one. The wealth that stays requires emotional regulation. When resources increase, pressure increases, expectations increase, visibility increases. Without emotional stability, these pressures can fracture even the most gifted person. But you have been learning how to remain grounded, how to breathe through uncertainty, how to respond instead of react. This training matters more than you know. There were moments when you felt misunderstood, when others questioned your pace, your choices, your restraint. You may have wondered if you were missing out, but restraint is not loss when it is guided. It is strategy. God often hides his best work in quiet obedience because noise attracts interference. You are also becoming more comfortable with responsibility, not in a heavy way but in a grounded way. Responsibility no longer feels like a burden you must escape. It feels like something you can carry without collapsing. That shift signals readiness, because wealth is responsibility, influence is responsibility, and heaven does not hand responsibility to someone still running from it. Chosen one, your relationship with work has been changing too. You are less driven by approval and more guided by purpose. You no longer need constant affirmation to stay consistent. You understand that impact compounds over time. That is why you have been willing to do unseen work, work that does not immediately pay but builds infrastructure. I remember when I realized this shift in myself. I stopped asking, will this be noticed, and started asking, will this last? That question alone changed how I built. It changed how I chose partners, projects, and paths. Longevity became more important than speed, and longevity is where wealth finds a home. Chosen one. God has also been refining how you handle abundance in small forms. Time, energy, opportunities, connections. These are currencies too. How you steward them reveals how you will steward money. You have been learning to protect what matters, to invest intentionally, to say no when necessary. These habits are not random, they are rehearsals. There is also a quiet confidence growing in you. Not arrogance, not entitlement. A calm knowing that you are capable of handling what comes next. This confidence does not shout, it steadies. It allows you to move without rushing, to speak without forcing, to decide without panic. That steadiness is magnetic. Chosen one. You are beginning to understand that wealth is not a reward for suffering. It is a tool for assignment. Suffering refines, assignment directs, and your assignment has been coming into focus. You may not have all the details yet, but you sense the direction. You feel the pull toward impact, toward contribution, toward building something that outlives a moment. This is why God has been protecting you from shortcuts that would have compromised your foundation. Shortcuts save time, but cost strength. And strength is what sustains increase. You are being built strong, not fast. And strong lasts. You may also notice that your tolerance for misalignment has decreased. You cannot stay in environments that drain you the way you once could. You cannot entertain thoughts that undermine your peace. This is not fragility. It is sensitivity to alignment. When your spirit matures, it becomes less willing to tolerate what disrupts order. Chosen one. This sensitivity is a gift. It will guide you as resources increase. It will help you choose wisely, partner intentionally, and move strategically. Many people lose their way after success because they ignore this inner guidance. You are learning to trust it now before the stakes are higher. God is also preparing you for visibility without losing yourself. Visibility can distort identity if identity is not anchored. But yours is becoming anchored. You know who you are without applause. That means applause will not define you when it arrives. This is critical because money brings attention, and attention tests identity. You have been forming an identity rooted in values, not validation, in purpose, not perception. This is why the wealth coming to you will not control you. It will serve you, and more importantly, it will serve through you. Chosen one, hear this with clarity. You are not on the verge of chaos. You are on the verge of coherence. Things are beginning to align internally and externally. When coherence forms, progress accelerates naturally, not through force, but through flow. So if life feels unusually clear right now, do not question it. Clarity often precedes expansion. God clears the lens before he widens the view, and the view you are being prepared for requires vision that is steady, not scattered. The wealth that surprises you will feel earned not through struggle, but through growth. It will arrive into a life that has been ordered, disciplined, and aligned. And when it does, you will recognize it not as a sudden miracle, but as a long-awaited confirmation that preparation was never wasted. There is a sacred moment when preparation finishes its quiet work and transition begins without announcement. It does not feel dramatic. It feels settled, like standing on ground that no longer shifts beneath your feet. This is the moment when heaven begins to move resources toward you without urgency, without noise, without strain. And the reason it can happen this way is because you are no longer chasing outcomes. You are aligned with order. You may have noticed that your prayers have changed. You ask less for rescue and more for wisdom, less for speed and more for clarity. That shift matters. It signals maturity. God responds differently to someone who is asking how to steward than to someone who is asking how to escape. Stewardship attracts trust. Escape attracts cycles, and your life has clearly been moving toward trust. Let me speak to something many people never realize until it is too late. Wealth does not change who you are. It removes the brakes. Whatever is already present accelerates. If fear is present, fear multiplies. If discipline is present, discipline compounds. This is why heaven has been so intentional with your inner formation. God was not trying to make you worthy. He was making you stable. Stability is rare. Many people confuse it with boredom or lack of ambition, but stability is what allows growth to remain healthy. A tree that grows too fast without strong roots will break in the first storm. You have been growing roots, quietly, patiently, deeply, and because of that, storms that would have destroyed others only strengthened you. There were moments when you wondered if your sensitivity was a weakness, when you felt deeply, thought deeply, questioned deeply. But that depth has become discernment. You sense undercurrents others miss. You read situations before they speak. That awareness will protect you when decisions carry higher stakes. God often entrusts increase to those who can see beyond the surface. Your discernment has also refined your circle. You are more selective now, not because you feel superior, but because you value alignment. You understand that proximity shapes perspective, that environment influences outcomes, This understanding did not come from theory, it came from lived experience, and lived experience is the most reliable teacher. There is a calm authority forming in how you move through life. You are less reactive, less defensive, less inclined to explain yourself. That calm is not indifference. It is confidence rooted in identity. You know who you are becoming even if others do not yet see it. And that knowing keeps you steady. I want to share something personal here. The first time I realized God was about to expand my life, everything went quiet. Not empty, quiet. No rush, no frenzy, just clarity. I had expected fireworks. Instead, I felt peace. That peace was the confirmation. God does not always announce increase with noise. Sometimes he announces it with stillness. You are in that stillness now. And stillness is powerful because it allows you to hear direction clearly. Direction reduces waste. Waste is what drains abundance. God is a good steward. He does not pour into leaks. And you have been allowing him to seal areas that once leaked energy, attention, and emotion. This is also why your sense of urgency has softened. You no longer feel like everything must happen now. You trust that what is meant for you will arrive when you are positioned to sustain it. That trust is not passive, it is active alignment. It frees you from anxiety and allows you to make decisions without pressure. Pressure distorts judgment. Calm sharpens it. You are becoming calm. That alone is preparation for increase. Many people receive opportunities they are too anxious to manage. Anxiety rushes, anxiety overcommits, anxiety reacts. But you are learning to respond. Response creates longevity. You have also been learning how to value process without idolizing it. You understand that growth has seasons. Some require action, others require integration. Integration is where lessons settle into instinct. And instinct is what guides you when there is no time to deliberate. This matters when responsibilities increase. Let me say this clearly. God is not preparing to overwhelm you. He is preparing to expand you. Expansion feels different. Overwhelm feels chaotic. Expansion feels spacious. You will not feel crowded by what is coming. You will feel capable. There is a difference between being busy and being effective. Your life has been shifting toward effectiveness. You are doing fewer things, but doing them with more intention. That focus multiplies impact, and impact attracts resources naturally. Heaven funds clarity. You may also notice that your tolerance for internal conflict has decreased. You no longer entertain self-sabotaging thoughts the way you once did. You challenge them, you replace them, you do not let them linger. This is not self-help, this is discipline of the mind. And discipline of the mind is foundational for stewardship. When resources increase, mental patterns become more visible. Doubt can become paralysis. Confidence can become arrogance. But you are learning balance. You question without collapsing. You trust without becoming careless. This balance is rare and it is powerful. Your understanding of value has also matured. You see beyond price to cost, beyond gain to consequence, beyond opportunity to responsibility. This lens will guide you well. Many people lose wealth because they focus on what something gives them, not what it requires of them. You are learning to ask better questions. There is also a humility growing in you that does not shrink your presence. It steadies it. You are not intimidated by people with influence. You are not impressed by titles alone. You look for substance. That discernment will protect you from entanglements that look beneficial but drain purpose. I want you to notice something about your recent experiences. Problems that once would have thrown you off balance now feel manageable. Not because they are smaller, but because you are stronger. That strength did not come from shortcuts. It came from endurance. And endurance always precedes authority. Authority is not control, it is clarity. It allows you to lead without force, to decide without fear, to move without hesitation. You are stepping into that authority now, and authority attracts provision because it signals readiness. This is why the wealth that comes to you will not feel foreign. It will feel like a natural extension of who you already are. It will not demand that you become someone else. It will simply meet the version of you that has been quietly forming. There is a sacred alignment happening between your inner world and your outer path. When these align, resistance decreases, effort becomes focused, progress becomes sustainable. This is not coincidence. It is design. God does not elevate people randomly. He elevates them when their character can support their calling. Your character has been refined through patience, discernment, restraint, and faithfulness in unseen places. These qualities are not glamorous, but they are essential. You are not being positioned for a moment. You are being positioned for a season. Seasons require consistency. Consistency requires discipline. Discipline requires identity. And identity has been forming in you through every quiet choice you made when no one was watching. So as you move forward, do not look for signs of chaos or rush. Look for signs of order. Look for clarity. Look for peace. These are the markers of true expansion. The wealth that surprises you will arrive with stability, not shock, with confirmation, not confusion. And when it does, you will recognize it as the natural outcome of a long preparation that was never wasted, never delayed, and never accidental. Chosen one, take a breath and let this moment seal itself in your spirit. This was not just a message you listened to, it was a divine alignment you stepped into. Heaven has been speaking to you tonight, not from a distance, but up close, personally, intentionally. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the appointed time, where preparation meets release, and what has been forming quietly is now ready to manifest openly. Anointed one, the transfer is already in motion. What God has prepared for you cannot miss you, and what is coming will arrive with peace, stability, and purpose. You were shaped for this season, trained for this weight, and aligned for this elevation. The wealth that approaches you will not shake you, it will recognize you. It will stay because you have become someone who can carry it with wisdom, humility, and clarity. Remain faithful in the small moments. Stay aligned with what the Spirit has been teaching you. Walk forward with gratitude, not fear, expectation, not urgency. You are not late. You are right on time, and what is unfolding will confirm everything your spirit has known all along. If you feel led, stay connected to this space so we continue walking in alignment together. And if your heart agrees with this word, gently write your city in the comments as a sign that heaven's work is landing right where you stand. Chosen one, go forward in peace. What is coming will surprise you, and it will last.